Hey Denki, you got a moment? The blonde looked up from his science book. It'd been a busy couple of weeks and he really needed to work for once. Yo, what's up, Mineta? The pipsqueak was looking at him with wide eyes. I have a problem. Denki blinked, then chuckled amused. Yes, you have many problems. Mineta deadpanned and then crossed his arms. Please don't patronize me. Denki sighed and leaned back on his chair. The two were in UA's library. Not because a library was actually needed these days, but more for the atmosphere. Here it was really quiet, and there weren't a lot of distractions. In fact, Principal Nezu had taken great care in only the librarian's PC having access to the Wi-Fi here. What's the problem, Mineta? What's the problem, Mineta? I have a crush. Denki snorted. I mean it. Sure, and I'm the President of the United States. The purple-haired dwarf sighed. Just because I can appreciate the female form like none of you limp dicks doesn't mean I'm this giant pervert. My actions have been exaggerated because I don't make my life a 24/7 drivel about being a perfectly lawful good hero. Besides, if a stud like BOKU was acting like me, all these girls would appreciate and love it, even if they pretended they would not. So can we please take this seriously? Denki blinked, not used to the dwarf being this angry. Right. For a moment both boys went quiet. So who is it? Denki blinked. And then blurted out, Dude, seriously? Mineta took a step back. What do you mean? I'm super crushing on her too. In your life, there were rarely any opportunities offered to you. While you didn't always work hard, you more or less needed to. Which you hated. You believed something your father had told you many years ago. It was in passing, and he probably doesn't even remember it himself, but it was ingrained into your memory. Humans will always take lazy efficiency over hard, gratifying work. But in the end, it all comes down to fucking luck. Maybe this had been so deeply engraved into your brain as this was the first time you heard him curse. But that's why you wanted to become a hero. Get lucky with an easy yet overhyped mission in the media. That seemed to be achievable. And you weren't that greedy. You just wanted some money, not all money. Your ideal home was a small 4-room apartment after all. The thought of retiring at age 40 was your dream. Total efficiency, total laziness. That's the dream. To this day you thank whatever deity was out there letting you into UA. Admittedly, you were one of the more powerful side heroes, but the entrance exam was hell. Your quirk, sentience, was on the weirder side. It allowed you to transform your body into small to medium-sized scarabs, hundreds of little beetles sharing your consciousness. The first time you did this at age 8 was the scariest experience you ever had. Not to mention your phobia of insects. You were sitting alone in UA's cafeteria. Ever since your participation in the tournament 1 year ago, people stayed away from you. You simply had become the weird bug girl, but you didn't mind it. Instead, you participated in your favorite lunchtime training exercise, listening on the people around you. More specifically, the popular third years. By separating a singular bug of your body at a discrete area, you could then let it fly around to spy on people. And there they were, the big three. Smirking, you listened into their conversation. It was about a movie they were going to see tonight. Some action flick called Fourth Base. A crime action drama about a retired baseball player turned private detective. You furrowed your brows. That wordplay was brilliant! For that alone you needed to watch it. Just as you were about to listen in again, however, a voice right next to you called out. Hey, you Graveborn? You blinked. Irritating. The buff handsome one of the big three was about to drop juicy rumors. Sighing, you turned your attention to your right. Your eyes falling onto a first year with blonde hair. Next to him, another first year. That weird goblin creature. Both boys were known perverts. You had to admit, though, as long as the dwarf wasn't talking, he was kinda cute. Probably due to his small size. And who was asking? I'm Denki Kaminari, and that's... The small guy jumped up, his lunch almost dropping from the tray he was carrying. Minoru Mineta, but you can call me Grapetooth. For a moment, neither of you spoke. Dude, seriously? Hushed Denki towards Mineta. Then the blonde cleared his throat. It's really packed today, so we were wondering if you maybe allow us to sit here. You shrugged. Suit yourself, but be quiet. Both boys shrugged and proceeded to sit down in front of you. Slowly they began eating their lunch, when you just looked away, listening back in on the big three. The conversation they were in had by now moved on to something about bagels. You furrowed your brows. Why bagels? You would really like some context here. Is something wrong? Asked Denki after a while, and you blinked. Huh? It's just you have been staring at that wall for a while. You deadpanned. What is this about anyways? I'd alone most of the time. You idiots seem to usually find a place somewhere. The boys shrugged, and then you pointed a few feet away. In fact, there is an empty seat right there. Denki blushed in embarrassment. Mineta now took control of the conversation. Well, we were wondering if you like anyone. You didn't see it, but Denki kicked the goblin under the table. Too pushy. You raised an eyebrow. Like as in, like, or like as in, like friends. The two boys looked at each other. Both, said Mineta. You thought for a moment. Well, I like Mount Lady. You shrugged. She seems to be barely lifting a finger and gets sponsorships out the ass. She must be swimming in money, even though she just started. Mineta blushed hard, knowing full well what type of Satan Mount Lady truly was. But, like... No, not really. You blinked. Then again, you wouldn't mind having a high school affair with the big buff guy of the big three, Mirio. The two boys butted heads, and your eyes narrowed. They were whispering about something. With a heavy heart, you called back your bug, placing it nearby the weirdos to hear what they had to say. This is going worse than I thought, said the blonde. Really? If you haven't called me a pervert yet, or slapped me, I think we're making progress. Your eyes narrowed further. Then you smirked. You know, I can hear you guys. Their faces turned to shock. What is this about progress? We were talking about... schoolwork, yes. That was Denki. Okay then. You then always barely touch your food. By now you had a pretty good theory on what was going on here, but you needed more info, or at least wanted to make them squirm a little bit more. Once again, the table fell silent, as the two boys greedily swallowed a few bites.
So, like, what do you do for fun?
Small talk? Seriously? I told you to be quiet. Mineta blushed. He was desperately trying to find a topic that would interest you.
Games?
Asked Mineta with a quivering voice. Yeah, Pokemon? Asked Denki. Understanding this weird exchange, you simply shrugged and grinned. Souls-like. Instantly the boys blushed, just to butt heads again.
Bro, I can't. She's so perfect.
You leaned back a little to suppress your feelings for what the purple monster just said. Souls-likes? Are you serious? She's just like us! You looked away. That was a bit of an insult, wasn't it? Then your brows furrowed a little. They really were trying to flirt with you, weren't they? So, what now? Are we both gonna try and get with her? Get with you? Such an uncouth way of putting it. These two troglodytes really were as stupid as the rumors suggested. But that may lead to more interesting outcomes. Then Mineta seemed to realize something. Dude, we're losing her. Right. The boys now turned back to look at you. So, we had a talk, and
we like to make you somewhere more private,
blurted out the gremlin. Dude, seriously, I'm trying to... Denki was about to choke Mineta. Sure. Rooftop? After lunch? Slowly, the boys' heads turned to look at you. They were completely taken off guard by your offer. You know who he is, right? muttered Denki.
Hey, you're so much more worth than me. You're just more attractive.
After a second of you just angrily staring them down, they quietly returned to their meals. You sighed in relief. Quiet. Finally. You returned your spy beetle back to your body before continuing your own food. The two boys greedily glancing at you and then one another as you painfully slowly ate away. By now it was cold. Dang, you thought. The boys soon left for UA's roof after finishing their lunch. Just in case he set a bug on one of their shoulders. There was a maximum of distance that could be between you and your insect body parts, so you quickly discarded the rest of your food scraps and snuck up behind them. Luckily, they didn't notice you. Once they were on the roof, you hid behind the door leading to it. Outside, Denki and Mineta sat on a bench.
Way too good,
mumbled Mineta. You think it's a trap? The blonde shrugged. Come to think of it. Do you think she's going to ridicule us? You shrugged. Maybe. Maybe not. Mineta scoffed.
Well, I don't think we're gonna score. I do think we're going to leave a good impression.
Maybe it's not a trap, is what I'm trying to say. And who knows? Maybe she'll interact with us more on her own. Sighing, Denki patted the goblin on the head. You're way too optimistic there, little buddy. So the two had a crush on you. Why? So, why do you have a crush on her anyways? You rolled your eyes. How predictable these two were. Mineta shrugged.
She always sits alone. Reminds me of my time in middle school. She doesn't have any friends and...
You don't have a crush. You just feel sorry for her.
I mean, she is cute, and I feel sorry for her. That's enough of base to develop a crush on.
You hummed. So you were right with your hunch. Well, Denki scratched the back of his head. I like strong girls. Headstrong, I mean. Not a fan of chicks with muscles, I mean. And after the other day where she beat the crap out of that annoying prick from class 1B, you raised an eyebrow. That happened 2 months ago. The yappy guy was talking about 1B being so good and powerful that they could win a battle against anyone in class 2A. And knowing the guy's quirk allowed him to... You took a risk and just straight up jabbed him in the back of the head. The guy never tried to steal your creepy crawliness, knowing full well if his copying time ran out while in bug swarm form, it would most likely be raining his bloody meat chunks. And in a hand-to-hand combat, you definitely outmaneuvered him. The weak attention after that was completely worth it, as well. And since then, she won't get out of my head. Even Jiro a few days ago was like, "Hey Pikachu, are you still stalking me or did you just get better at it?" You sighed. That was enough. Inhaling deeply and then exhaling. Making a choice, you barged through the door and approached them. Arms crossed, you stood before them. "So, you two creeps, what do you want? We never interacted before, and you definitely already have a certain reputation at this school." The boys blushed.
"Well," said Denki, "we have a crush on you."
If you hadn't listened to their conversation earlier, you'd call it a bluff and would immediately walk out on them. Dude, seriously?
We gotta soften her up first.
Denki said this loud enough for you to hear on purpose. After a minute of silence, where the blowing wind of the roof was the only audible noise, Kaminari finally continued. "But Mineta's right. There are reasons as to why, before you think we're super shallow and just out for your looks."
"Not that your looks are bad."
Mineta, shush. You sighed helplessly. "I work at the agency of Captain Blight. Very capable hero." The boys looked at each other.
"Wait, so..."
You shrugged. "So what? You won. I'm willing to spend more time with both of you. That's why I told you where I work." "Let's see who wastes my time less, is what I'm trying to say." The boys grinned at each other, but then they looked back at you.
"Neither of us thought we would get this far. So, what now?"
Sighing, you walked up to them, pushed them to the side, and sat down between them. "Now you prove to me that you aren't wasting my fucking time." I was the first to understand what you meant. Out of a backpack he had set next to him, he pulled a carton of apple juice and gave it to you.
"Thank you. I was getting a little parched,"
you said after taking it. Then you leaned forward and gently kissed the goblin's forehead. The purple boy blushed hard and squeaked like a dog toy. Meanwhile, all you could think of was how much fun you're going to have with these two.